So I'm not going to only talk about the classes, I'm also going to talk about the races, because they have abilities too, actives and passives, so you know what you want to get, so I'll cover it. Also the race is going to determine what your armor looks like. I'm going to have concept arts in the stream. The appearance has changed quite a little, but the general style didn't change too much, so you know what you can expect. Let me quickly say something about vessels. I'm not gonna go in depth, it's just you start with a white character, and the character base is basically a craftable item, so a necromancer can make a green, blue, epic or legendary vessel for you. You have to create a new class, you level it up again, and it just rocks. It's gonna make a big difference. So enjoy the following 36 minutes. It's only gonna be a shallow overview over the classes, but it's gonna teach you what you need to know when you want to pick a class. So centaurs have benefits for strength and constitution. Available classes for them are knight, champion and cleric. Considering their racial abilities, they have a plus 30 bonus on constitution. They have a racial passive that grants them Trailmaster, which is a movement buff when they're out of combat. Wild Charge charges forward, hits an enemy and is breaking their armor, so armor reduction. They have a buff that boosts the attack power and support power of their group. And they have a rear kick which knocks enemies down, so the enemies have to stand behind you. And they have a dash, which is the standard dodge power. So the Elkins are quite balanced attribute-wise. The available classes for the Elkins are Knight, Confessor, Templar, Ranger and Cleric. The Elkins gets 60 extra Constitution, 25 extra Perception and 30 extra Strength. They also get the racial passive Trailmaster, which gives you a movement buff when out of combat for 10 seconds. They have a Headbutt, where you charge forward and knock down your enemies. They also have a skill where they can temporarily detect stealth, and they have a standard dash. The Fays have a strong focus on dexterity. Available classes for them are Assassin, Druid and Frostweaver. Fays are considered to be the best pick for assassins, in my opinion. They have a racial bonus of 30 on intellect and dexterity. They have a racial passive where they move faster while being stealthed. This is especially very useful when you're going for the cutthroat specialization of the assassin. I highly recommend picking a Fae or any other stealth class that can be played by the Fae. They get Fury Fire, which is a debuff that increases the critical hit chance. And they have a blink as a dodge, which can also be quite useful in some situations. The Genetians also have a quite strong focus on dexterity. Available classes for them are the Knight, the Cleric, and they are the only race that can play the Duelist. Genetians have a plus 60 bonus on dexterity and a plus 30 bonus on intellect. Their racial abilities is that they have a double jump by default, and they consume less food because they're so little and cute. They also have a Genetian burrow, which acts like a racial stealth, where they can basically dig under the earth. In the future this will only work though if you are moving on dirt, so if you are moving on stone this ability will be disabled. And they also have a standard dodge. Half-Giants have a very strong focus on strength and constitution. Half-Giants give you the biggest strength bonuses in the game, and coming with that also giving you a lot of constitution. Available classes for the Half-Giant are the Champion, the Myrmidon and the Cleric. Half-Giants give you a plus 65 bonus on constitution, but they need more food. They also give you a plus 60 bonus on strength, which is what I've just been talking about. They have a racial passive that gives you a damage bonus buff after suffering small hits. They have the Blood of the Giant, which increases their damage and size. They also have a Backhand, which is a power that is an instant stun, and they have a standard dodge roll. The Half-Elves are also a quite balanced class. Playable classes for them are the Ranger, Assassin and the Druid. They get a plus 60 bonus on dexterity, a plus 30 bonus on intellect and a plus 30 bonus on spirit, which is the primary attribute for healers. They get the racial ability Trailblazer, which is a movement speed buff when you're out of combat, and they get a standard dodge roll. The High Elves are quite dexterity and intellect based, considering the attribute. Playable classes for the High Elves are the Knight, the Confessor, the Assassin, and the Frostweaver. They get plus 5% elemental resistance and plus 30 bonus to intellect. Their racial ability is the dodge is a clear cast, so when you get stunned, you use your dodge, you get out of the stun. They have an increased power cost multiplier debuff that they can cast on enemies, and they do a cartwheel as their default dodge, but this is only animation-wise interesting. The humans, as usual, are probably the most balanced of all classes, even though don't underestimate them. Available classes for them are the Knight, the Templar, the Ranger, and the Cleric. They get a plus 30 bonus on strength, and what's probably really cool about them is they get a passive bonus slot and a power bars bonus slot. So in Crowfall, by default you have 3 passive slots and have a maximum of 4 of those, and by default you have 8 power bar slots and have a maximum of 10 of those. The human also gets the racial passive that he gets reduced damage, the ability Candle That Burns that increase the damage and increase the resource cost of enemies, and he has a standard dodge. The Minotaurs are a rather strength, dexterity and constitution based race. Available classes for them are the Ranger, Champion and Myrmidon. They get a plus 35 bonus on constitution, plus 30 dexterity, and have a very interesting racial passive, which makes them frontal stun immune. So if somebody wants to stun you from the front, it doesn't work. They get Bloodthirst, which heals them for 50% of the taken damage. But very similar to the Myrmidon mechanic, they get this damage as a dot afterwards. They also have a charge where they charge forward, damage enemies and knock them down. And they have a leap, which in addition to only dodging, also deals AoE damage in the area the dodge ends. The Nitari are a rather intellect constitution based class. Available classes for them are the Confessor, the Templar and the Assassin. The Nitari get 30 extra intellect. They have a racial passive where they regenerate health out of combat faster, and the damage taken by critical hits is reduced. They have Call of Flames, which is a fire buff that sets nearby enemies on fire, and his dodge is this really cool animation where flames shoot out of his hand and feet, even though gameplay wise it doesn't serve a specific purpose. The Stoneborn are a very strength and constitution based race. Available classes for them are the Knight, Champion, Myrmidon and Cleric. They get the highest bonus on Constitution with plus 75 points, they get an additional 30 Spirit and they get an additional 30 Strength, which makes them optimal tanky healers. Their racial ability makes them more resistant to knockdown, increase damage and heal themselves after they get knocked down. They have the racial ability Stone Skin where they take reduced damage and get poison immune. They also have a standard barrel roll dodge. Last but not least are the Wood Elves. They have a focus on dexterity, spirit and constitution. Available classes to them are the Ranger, the Druid and the Frostweaver. They get 30 extra spirit. They also have the racial passive Trailmaster, which gives them a movement buff when out of combat. They have Camouflage, where they can stealth themselves while they are standing still. If a Wood Elf plays a class that can stealth, this ability is useless of course. Their dodge ability is a blink, so they really move instantly from A to B instead of rolling somewhere. In the following section I will give you an overview over the classes and their specializations, which are called promotion classes in Crowfall. I've taken this information mostly from Kildara's breakdown of the 5.8 promotion classes, which I will link in the description below. Not all crows were heroes in life. Assassins ply a darker trade. Sharp knives, deadly poisons and silent arrows are the tools they use to carve an inglorious role in history. Untrustworthy and ruthless, these dark mercenaries rarely travel in groups and begrudge military discipline. But their subtle skills are quite effective when it comes to toppling regimes and ending dynasties. Available races for the Assassin are the Fae, the Half-Elf, the High Elf and the Nitari. And so for the promotion classes. The Cutthroat revolves around getting behind your target to do extra damage. Your target takes 10% extra damage while kidney shotted, which is a stun, and you have 20% damage when using backstab from behind. Your passive increases your damage by 20% while behind targets. The Blackguard. This is a more self-sustained promotion class. You will have life leech, self-barriers, so shields, when stunning enemies and reduced cooldowns on kidney shot and backstab. Your passive gives you nature and poison toxins 8% lifesteal. The Vandal. This is a more CC dot heavy build. Your kidney shot applies a severe bleed. You get the power cheap shot, which is a stun from stealth, and your backstab suppresses enemies if you hit from behind. Your passive will save your ass. A hit that would have killed you instead takes you up to 15% of your maximum health and gives you 90% mitigations for 4 seconds. Mercenaries, Protectors, Conquerors and Warlords. The title of champion is given only to warriors who both literally and figuratively rise above the rest and to become the best of their kind. Hailing for a variety of cultures and professions, all the great champions share one common trait. They shine in their ability to face others in one-on-one combat and emerge victorious. In death, champions are often chosen to fight for the gods, carrying on in the afterlife much as they did while living, fighting for a cause, noble or otherwise, and leaving a trail of bodies in their wake. Available races for the champion are the Centaur, Half-Giant, Minotaur and Stoneborn. The Alpha Warrior promotion class. This build revolves a lot around getting critical hits. You will gain a lot of dominance stacks both through your leap and basic attack crits. Your Neckbreaker, the ultimate, can now also benefit from dominance stacks. Your Rend will reduce your enemy's critical hit chance defense, meaning you have 7% higher chance to crit on them. Your passive increases your critical hit chance whenever you spend a point of dominance, stacking up to 10 times. Crits, crits, crits is what this build is about. The Pit Fighter, a very tanky version of the champion. Increased self-healing and maximum health. Whirling Pain, an AoE attack, also applies a barrier. You will get the ultimate Invincible Warrior, which makes you immune to CC and damage, but also gives you a barrier and heal over time. It only costs 500 soul power. Your passive gives you 100 attack power every time you trigger a self-healing effect. This stacks up to 5 times. The Barbarian is a very CC heavy build. Not only do you get 21% duration on your CC effects, you will also be able to reset your blind combo. Your leap does not knock down. Your leap does a knockdown. Your Whirling Pain applies a slow and then suppresses multiple enemies. And the soul power cost of your Neckbreaker is reduced to 350 soul power. Your passive gives you 15% extra damage and 25% extra movement speed when you apply a ground control effect. Clerics are known by many names in life: priests, prelates, bishops, pontiffs. Some follow a single god, but most are pantheistic, devoting their lives to the study and devotion of all of the gods and studying the language of the All-Father to lessen the pain and suffering of others. Most clerics are also warriors by trade, knowing that the maelstrom of battle presents the best and most frequent opportunity to use their skills to the fullest. As crows, clerics spent the afterlife much as they lived, in the service of mankind and the behest of one god, or many. Available classes for the cleric are the Elkon, Centaur, Genetian, Half-Giant, Human and Stoneborn. As for the promotion classes, the Radical, this is an almost full DPS Cleric build. You will sacrifice healing on several abilities in exchange for damage. It also reduces the soul power cost of your Divine Order, which is a damaging ultimate, by 500. You will have increased range of 6 meters. You will gain a power called Searing Light instead of Flash of Light, which works as an interrupt. Your Illuminate will not heal, but replenish resources and increase your critical hit chance. Your passive causes your critical basic attacks to reset the cooldown of your Searing Light, meaning you can spam interrupts with enough crit chance. The Crusader is your more or less full healer build. You will have lots of increased support stats like support power, critical heal chance, critical heal amount. Your resurrection will be enhanced, bringing allies back with 40% of their maximum HP. This is the only build that will make Illuminate heal group members. And your Hand of Gods, which is an AoE root, will also heal all friendly targets within its deploy radius. Your passive will grant allies below 50% health a shield equal to 10% of their maximum health for 15 seconds. This can happen every 15 seconds. The Arbiter is your hybrid build. You will still get support stats like support power, but you will also gain more CC. Your Holy Symbol will also knock down up to 3 enemies when it's deployed. Your AoE has its radius increased by double, and your Divine Order ultimate, if you choose to use it, will reset the cooldown of several powers. You will also be able to stun enemies with your next basic attack after using Illuminate. Your passive recovers mana and increased basic attack for every CC you apply. This stacks up to 3 times. The title of Confessor is officially sanctioned for use only by the Church of the Sun, but used colloquially to include the practitioners of fire magic across all cultures. Confessors spend their lives dedicated to the art of pyromancy, the memorization and recitation of ancient words of power that can be called upon to ignite wood, melt stone, consume flesh, or char bone. Many claim these words to be divine in nature, though the stated source differs from one culture to the next. Prayers to Prince Archon, the sun god, incantations to the Liesa, mother of worms, or perhaps even the divine language of the Allfather himself. Playable races for the Confessors are Elkon, High Elf, and Netari. The Inquisitor, a more traditional Confessor build, this promotion class emphasizes damage. You can gain extra basic attack damage after using Fervor. Your fire tornadoes can hit the same target more times. Your Righteousness procs damage buffs. Your single target stun combo doesn't consume the debuff that explodes with damage anymore. Your passive gives all your fire damage type powers a change to apply severe burn to targets. The Sanctifier is a special promotion class that turns your Confessor into a melee tank that excels in close combat. You will be able to retaliate more often. Your Fervor increases your physical armor bonus. Your Condemnation heals you each time it hits. Your Righteousness also applies a barrier to you. Your Hellfire auto deals 50% more damage, and your Tornadoes no longer consumes the aura. You will be able to equip mail and plate armor, but you will also have your range reduced, so your powers to 8 meters, but you get plus 20% damage. This build will probably be really strong with the Focus Orb, so you can keep your enemies close to you. The Fanatic is a CC heavy promotion class. Your Condemnation will slow enemies, you won't consume Hellfire Shield aura when you're using your knock-up, the Tornado combo, reduced cooldowns on Favor because it's a mana heavy playstyle. Your Absolution always slows your target. Your passive has a chance to trigger Cleansing Fire when dots are applied to you, cleansing all dots on you while also healing yourself. Additionally, you also apply elemental vulnerability to targets with your basic attacks. In life, the Order of the Druids were the followers of Gaia, the Earth Mother. A cult of forest dwellers, the religious took root first with the Wood Elves before spreading to the fray, and rarely took hold with those who share both human and Wood Elf blood. In the time since Gaia's death, the Druidic cult has largely disbanded. Druids who choose to fight for the gods in the afterlife do so for their own reasons. Some see vengeance, others are on quests to find purpose. Many feel a doomed sense of loyalty to a goddess who is no more. The available races for the Druid are the Fae, Half-Elf and Wood Elf. The Stormcaller is a Druid promotion class which is based on full DPS. Your life tray will be removed, so no healing. In exchange you get extra damage. You are able to instant buff yourself with Nature's Avatar, which is a big damage buff. You will also gain access to Lightning Burst, an AoE lightning spell, and your Fury Fire and Fury Flames will be enhanced, so the buff gets even stronger. So they also reduce the target's electric armor by 15%. Your passive will stack up a buff that at 8 stacks will give you a lightning shield. The Archdruid is the hybrid druid build. You will be switching a lot from life to death tray and vice versa in order to manage your essence, the druid's mana. You will have enhanced buff, Barkskin have a 200% increased thorns, and your nature's avatar is now an instant group buff, giving all group members increased offensive stats. You will gain the Shroud of Darkness, a stun, and your Blight, which allows you to let healing orbs explode, deal 25% more damage. Your passive dictates the way this build has to be played, as you get a buff of plus 75% damage and healing for 20 seconds if you hit with more than 3 orbs when using Blight, so you will be exploding a lot of orbs. The Earthkeeper is the full support build. You have lots of self-healing. Every time allies pick up healing orbs, you also get healed. Your Barkskin now only applies to you and heals you with heal over time. You gain access to Healing Rain, and your Nature's Avatar can now hit 2 targets when you channel it. It will automatically apply to a nearby ally, 8 meters within your target. Your passive is an automatic essence dump, which will then also replenish resources to group members. This can trigger every 45 seconds. Duelists are a rare breed. A peculiar blend of soldier made possible through the unique combination of blade skill, unnerving reflexes, and the mastery of both engineering and alchemy. This unlikely intersection of skill set made the small race Stole creators of the alchemical materials known as gunpowder. As crows as in life, duelists tend to be loyal and trustworthy with a calm, friendly demeanor that seems impervious to pessimism in even the darkest of situations. Available races for the duelists is the Genesian, so not really much of a choice here. The Slayer is our pistol duelist as we know it. Increased range, resetting cooldowns on flintlock shot, and it can be used as interrupt. Also gets a new ultimate which has half the soul power cost and grants 2 dodge pips. Very mobile, high range damage. Your passive revolves around crits, stacking up a buff, which then can be consumed on either long-lasting buffs or extra dodge pips. The Vanguard Scout is a stealth-focused build. You gain increased damage from stealth, you gain new stealth poke power, reduced cooldown on tunnel, and your passive gives you lifesteal while in stealth. The Dirge is the full melee build. You can open up with a knockdown from stealth with ambush, your Impale single target stuns at 5 pips, Redirect Pain also heals you over time, and you gain increased cooldown duration. Pepperbox Shot will debuff your enemy with reduced piercing mitigation, so you can deal more damage with your impales. Your passives make you do more damage to targets under 50% health. All hallmark of feudal society, knighthood is typically bestowed on men and women noble birth, binding them by oath to protect the land, the people and the crown. A lifetime of martial study makes these noble warriors a favored choice of the gods. Unfortunately, however, this code of ethics is rarely honored in the years following death, as memories fade and loyalties are tested. Available races for the knight are the Elkon, the Centaur, the Genetian, the High Elf, the Human, and the Stoneborn. The Swordsman is the offensive build of the knight. Your shield slam is enhanced, meaning you are considered blocking while charging it up. Blocking absorbs 50% of incoming damage. Your Obliterate causes bleed effects to have a 100% critical hit chance. Your Oath of Will increases your crit chance by 25% for 15 seconds, or until you crit 3 times. Your Pursuit has its cooldown reduced by 50%. Your passive has a chance to grant you a buff when using a non-basic, non-shield power, while also wielding a sword. The buff will increase your basic attack damage by 125% and your basic attack damage cap by 50% for 10 seconds. Remember to wield a sword with this build. The Secutor is the tanky build. You will have increased health and several shield improvements. Increased damage on all shield powers. Shield Slam instantly enables Shield Bash when hitting a target while charged 2/3. Oath of Will reduces the cost of maintaining block by 75% and lose no additional stamina for big hits. Pursuit also applies a barrier when it ends. You are able to equip Tower Shields. Your passive increases the shield bash damage by 100%, and all shield powers that damages an enemy will instantly enable shield bash. The Sentinel. This is a more CC heavy knight build. You will gain stats with increased duration of CC. Shield Slam can now suppress the target after charging more than 2/3. Chain Attack will now also apply a slow to the target. Noble Blood will also root enemies. Pursuit will stun nearest enemy when it ends. Your passive increases energy regeneration, gives you a buff if you stun or knock down enemies while wearing a mace. The buff increases your damage bonus by 15% and movement speed by 25% for 6 seconds. Remember to wield a mace with this build. Myrmidons, a general designation given to a motley collection of violent pit fighters, heartless mercenaries and savage barbarians. These are fighters who harness primal rage and animal instinct over professional training and skillful practice. Raw strength and grim brutality are their hallmarks. When bards sing of these warriors, the tales include legendary feats and tragic violent ends. In death, Myrmidons are driven to fight for the gods for a variety of reasons. The promise of wealth and glory, a need for vengeance unseated in life, or simply the unwillingness to lay down their arms and pass into the afterlife peacefully. Available races for the Myrmidon are the Half-Giant, the Minotaur and the Stoneborn. As for the promotion classes, the Titan is the high damage class. It revolves around the power Frenzy, where you can't die while it's up. This promotion class has the Bloodthirst mechanic. Striking bleeding targets will make you do more damage. While Frenzy is up, you will be able to interrupt people after using several different abilities. Okay, so before I go into the next promotion class, I have to tell you about the Berserk skill, which basically allows you to recover your lost health over the next 8 seconds, but then afterwards you get something called Berserk Crash Damage, which is basically taking the health that has been given to you away again over time. The Battle Rager is a more tanky build. More health, reduced Berserk crash damage, gives you the ability to avoid Berserk crash damage while using Whirlwind. And your passive increases your maximum health by 50% of the damage you avoid, by avoiding Berserk crashes. The Conqueror. This is a more AoE focused promotion class. You have more CC and more CC immunity than in the other builds. You'll have a single target suppress, your Whirlwind will make you immune to CC, while every time you apply a bleed effect you also slow the targets, meaning you can Whirlwind through groups of enemies, slowing them all down, without being able to be CC'd. You also reduce enemies' critical hit defense when you slow enemies. This can stack up to 5 times and gives a 3% each stack, so a 15% of total. The Wardens of the Dying Worlds, the Rangers, are crows who in life served as hunters, trappers, spies and scouts. In death, these wilderness defenders are often selected by the gods to act as outriders, messengers, and the advanced guards of the Dying Worlds. They scout the world for survivors, scavenging the ruins for resources and torching anything that remains. Playable classes for the Ranger are the Elkon, Half-Elf, Minotaur, Human and Wood Elf. The promotion class Archer is the ranged, heavy, pure damage class. You can reduce enemy damage with barrage, and Archer's stake prevents movement reduction or root effects. You will gain a suppression shot and increased range of 9 meters. Your rapid fire can expose, punish targets. Your passive revolves around standing still and spamming basic bow shots. The Warden. The talents learn towards full melee builds. Revolves around traps, major burning damage and debuffs including anti-stealth. You gain Forest Step, melee teleports to target. You gain Forest Step, which is a melee teleport to your target, and you can buff your group with damage bonuses. You also reduce a lot of damage taken, both from your Archer's stake, and you'll be able to wear mail with this promotion class. The Brigand. You are now a stealth melee ranger. You gain a stealth tray with the ambush power. Your Archer's stake will instantly slow in a big field, and you will have an empowered cross slash to apply severe bleed to your target. You will also do increased damage behind your targets. Your passive is a buff stacking up damage for your next dagger spin, stacking 10 times, up to a maximum of additional 250% damage. Holy warriors who excel at both combat and divine magic. A Templar is a soldier who in life dedicated his or herself to the service of Archon, the god of light and justice. In death, however, not all Templars hold true to their earthly vows. Some swear allegiance to other gods, while others break with faith completely and fight for the highest bidder. Available races for the Templar are the Elkon, Human and Natari. The Vindicator promotion class is focused on doing damage. You'll get several bonuses for damage buffs, while sacrificing survivability. Your execute move will no longer require pips, making you able to spam it like a melee DPS. Many of your powers will have their survivability aspect removed in exchange for extra damage, and your passive is extra slashing damage based on your bonus fire damage. The Paladin. This promotion class changes the Templar to a more support healer build. Your parry will drain pips slower, you will have Holy Warrior faster, your devotion is being enhanced so it heals you and your allies for 50% of the damage you deal. And most importantly, Divine Light no longer has a pip requirement, meaning you have a free healing circle lasting for 12 seconds. Your passive stacks up, healing critical chance every time you heal an ally. Fury. This is a more CC focused version of the Templar. You'll have a slow, increased duration on CC, reduced soul power costs on your ultimate, a melee ranged root, and when you place down your Divine Light, you knock down and daze enemies within your Divine Light. Your passive increases your maximum health every time you CC enemies. Frostweavers are the wizards who practice the magical art of cryomancy. They harness ancient words of power to drain heat, freeze water, and to shape ice and snow. A natural counterbalance to the art of pyromancy, Frostweavers have ascended in power and renown since the death of Gaia. For reasons unexplained, when a world begins to feel the effects of the hunger, it inevitably begins with the onset of an unnatural winter. The Frostweaver is the last class that will be added to the game, but there is not much information about it yet, and also no ETA when it's going to be added. So we're gonna see. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Please comment below if you would like to see more videos like this, and let me know what I should cover in those videos. Follow me on twitch.tv.crusaderw for weekly news, and feel free to ask any questions on stream about Crowfall. Follow me on twitter.com/crusader_w for the latest Crowfall updates and announcements of videos and upcoming streams. Connect with me on Discord, you can always ask questions there, and if you need something to be traded or crafted, I'm building up a marketplace there, and of course hit the subscribe button on YouTube to get notified about videos. Thank you so much for your support and your time, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.